Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Kia ora, Bolt fam. It's the Director. Chargers fans, what a wildly fun weekend for the NFL Draft. And Chargers fans, I did want to start this video off by telling you guys thank you so much. This was just such a jam-packed, thousands of Chargers fans in the chat year for the live stream, and I just had so much fun sharing that experience with all of you. The love was felt, the support was felt, the hype and optimism was certainly felt in the chat, and I just got to tell you guys, this was probably my favorite draft that I have experienced for the Chargers, maybe ever, and I really have you guys to thank for it. So thank you guys again so much for all of the support and making this one a year to remember. Now, getting down to brass tacks, man, I do feel like this was a very impressive draft for the Chargers. A nice, clear vision and plan of attack by Tom Telesco going into it. And me personally, I mean, like, spoiler alert, I feel pretty good about it, man. I want to share with you guys my opinions and, of course, grades on how I think the Chargers did in every single round. Now, yes, there are mixed feelings among fans and different, beat writers and talking heads on, the NFL Network as to how the Chargers did. This is going to be my genuine reaction to every single pick and how I view every single pick for the Chargers in the 2022 NFL Draft and how they can impact this year and seasons to come. Well, guys, question in the comments like we always do. Who was your favorite pick for the Chargers in the 2022 NFL Draft? We'll keep it fairly simple. Before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. My Chargers 2022 draft grades for every single Chargers pick. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of varying opinions. Please, guys, this is a safe place. Go ahead and leave your opinions in the comment section below as we go along. There's going to be some people that definitely agree, some people that disagree. Healthy conversations will never hurt anybody, guys, because definitely this is a big topic among Chargers fans right now. How did the Chargers do, and how are they looking for the 2022 NFL season? Let's go ahead and start things off here in round one. The Chargers at pick number 17 select Zion Johnson, offensive lineman out of Boston College. As you guys will see at the very bottom right there, spoiler alert, I'm going to give this man a grade of an A+ as far as a selection from the Los Angeles Chargers, okay? Get deep into it, man. Of course, live on stream, there was definitely varying reactions to who the Chargers decide to select. I think a couple of different names were still on the board that excited people in Jermaine Johnson. And, of course, Trent McDuffie, who I was hyping up to the moon, only to see the vicious Chiefs, take away from our grabs and add to their roster. That was definitely heartbreaking. But this absolutely was the right call for the Chargers. And in my opinion, when you really get down to it and think about it, this is a very sexy pick for the Chargers that's going to bring immediate positive consequences into the 2022 season and beyond. When looking at Zion Johnson and the opinions revolving around the NFL, we'll say specialists, the guys who do this for a living, the guys that look at these prospects, every single day, year in and year out, the opinions on Zion Johnson are overwhelmingly positive. This dude is perhaps the most ready, or one of the most ready offensive linemen in the NFL to translate into the pros, right? To me, this felt a lot like the Rashawn Slater slide of 2021. Of course, in terms of position value, left tackle is going to be regarded a lot more important. It's going to be a lot more valuable to take a guy, at that particular position. The Chargers definitely struck gold last season. This feels very similar, but this time at the position of guard. And of course, Zion Johnson, very versatile, has experience all over that offensive line, does project best at guard. And I do believe in a post draft presser, both Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley did mention that he will be lining up at guard, as well as Matt Filer. But things may have changed between that presser and what goes on later in the draft. More on that in just a second. To me, Zion Johnson, and to a lot of other people, man, he carries legit Pro Bowl potential in his rookie season. You can't say that about a lot of these rookies coming into this class, especially on the offensive line. Sure, there's going to be a few, but there are guys that were ranking Zion Johnson as a top 5 player in the draft in this season. I'm not talking just offensive line. I'm talking as number 5 overall, which is very, very nice for the Chargers in getting a value at pick number 17. When all is said and done, man, the Chargers had a need on the right side of that offensive line. Of course, Chargers fans very concerned about what's happening at right tackle, but we'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit later in the video. I do feel a lot more comfortable, especially now having that right guard position certainly solidified for years to come. And I think Zion Johnson definitely does, reflect on the Chargers mentality going forward. Rebuilding this offensive line was a huge priority for Brandon Staley when he took the reins for this team. Just thinking about what this offensive line looked like, just 2 seasons ago to where we are now, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Adding Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, Zion Johnson. We got Matt Filer, who's definitely a very, very good player as well. It's absolutely light years and beyond what we had a couple of seasons ago. And you know what? Zion Johnson is being added to that fold as a guy who's going to make an impact for very, very many seasons. And when all is said and done, man, I do feel like Zion Johnson and this selection is just a huge indicator that the Chargers are heavily invested in our, quarterback Justin Herbert. A lot of teams go decades without finding their starter at QB, and even fewer teams find a quarterback that was as pro-ready and has the upside of Justin Herbert. This does not happen very often, guys. The Chargers realize and understand what they have in Justin Herbert. He is very, very special in this NFL league. And I do believe that the Chargers recognize him as a top 5, top 3 quarterback and one worth protecting. Zion Johnson, we talk about the butterfly effect quite often on this channel. He's going to make an impact at every level of the offense, both in the run game, in the pass, and in keeping Justin Herbert standing upright. So I'm going to give this pick a grade of an A+. I do believe that this is definitely the right call for the Chargers. They grabbed themselves a position of need. They grabbed themselves a huge value, and this is going to be a player that Chargers fans will certainly, grow and love to appreciate by mid-season. I do think a lot sooner than that as well, man. Welcome to the Chargers, Zion Johnson. A huge slam dunk move for the Chargers at pick number 17, and one that I think makes a lot of sense. The safe pick that's going to help this Chargers team for years and years to come. Next up at pick number, or I should say round number 3, the Chargers' second pick in this NFL draft. There was a lot of talk about the Chargers trading up, grabbing a guy in the second round. That didn't happen, but the Chargers did get themselves a very nice player in round 3. At pick number 79, the Chargers would select J.T. Woods, safety out of Baylor. Now, I will say that this maybe threw a lot of people off in terms of value, right? I think a lot of people had, especially if you're like me, you like to go on those, NFL Draft Network, PFF, Pro Football Network. There's a lot of places to go do mock drafts nowadays, and it feels like J.T. Woods was more often than not available in the 4th round. Upon, further review and upon, digging up a little bit more information, there's a lot of teams in the league that did project him in round 3, as well as some very football savvy people on YouTube. Of course, the day after, I was going to see, what does everybody think? What does everybody think? A lot of people were a lot higher on J.T. Woods than initially thought. And to me, J.T. Woods, of course, there were some other players that had my hype levels, at 10,000. The thought of Calvin Austin on this team was definitely exciting. But this does feel like Brandon Staley is backing up his statement from, a few weeks ago in terms of what he wants to do this offseason. He talked about, revamping this defense, the cornerbacks, the defensive line, and then, of course, adding help for Derwin James. This pick is heavily in favor of adding help for Derwin James, dude. And there's a couple of different reasons why that we're going to explain here. Okay, first off, J.T. Woods as a player, he's a freakishly athletic and tall, deep safety, okay? A lot of people wondering, can he play the box a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage? I would say that, again, one of the bigger concerns with him is his tackling, so maybe he's best suited, in the deeper parts of the field, where I do think he's going to add a lot of value. He's extremely versatile. He can also play cornerback or nickel. I feel like J.T. Woods Woods is exactly the kind of pick that Brandon Staley wanted in the 3rd round. A guy that he could move around. Versatility, very, very important to this coach. Wanting to have backup plans pretty much at every spot on this roster, and JT Woods is no different. The biggest thing, again, that we are making a statement with in this even 3rd round is that we are backing up the superstar players on this roster. Zion Johnson was very much so showing a heavy investment in Justin Herbert. JT Woods is also showing a hefty investment, but this time in Derwin James, who some would consider the quarterback of our defense. This is a very intelligent and a very, I would say, out of left field move for the Chargers fans, but a very intelligent move by the front office, and one that, again, maybe immediately the reaction was, maybe it's a little bit high. Why are we taking this position? There's always, there's also a lot of really nice, fast players on the offensive side available on the board, but this to me makes so much sense because of the way the Chargers are, planning on running their defense this season. We're expecting to see a lot more defensive backs out there on the field, guys. This is why I think inside linebacker has been kind of, falling off in terms of priority for this team. We do expect to see a lot of these big safeties that are decent versus the run, but very good in pass coverage, patrolling the middle of the field. But when you do that with this Chargers team, let's say in 2021, Derwin James comes into the box. There's a huge, upside of making a play from that area of the field for Derwin. Maybe it does leave the deep part of the field a little bit vulnerable. Sure, we did have Alohi Gilman, Mark Webb, and those guys out deep, but I would say that JT Woods' upside in playing deep in lieu of those two other guys is a lot higher than having, those other backups in there. And I do think if JT Woods sees the field a lot this season, it's going to be out deep while Derwin is patrolling the middle of the field. And this is a very deadly combo, because if you take a look at JT Woods, some of those highlights that the Chargers posted on their YouTube channel just the day after, I think the day of, you'll see that this guy's got huge upside in his ball skills. And what I mean by that is this guy is good at generating turnovers. He almost reminds me of Mike Williams a little bit, but this time on the defensive side of the ball. Just so good at bodying out receivers to go up there and grab a pretty impressive interception. And we saw that over and over and over again in those highlights. He carries that into the NFL, and those are traits that are very hard to teach, maybe impossible to teach if you're a head coach. You can work around the other things that he needs to clean up, like we did mention at the bottom of the screen here, concern with tackling. Those are things that he can clean up as a coach. But when it comes to speed, when it comes to size, when it comes to the instincts for finding the football and coverage, those are things that are really hard to find. So JT Woods, man, very nice selection by the Chargers. I'm still going to give it a B. I do think that maybe there was some better value to be found, but at the same time, this move makes so much sense for the Chargers. And I do think JT Woods is going to make a bigger impact in terms of, immediate contributions than maybe some people think. So I really do like this, man. JT Woods, welcome to the Chargers. A very intelligent pick in investing on your superstar players in offense and defense. Next up, the Chargers' next pick is going to come in round 4, and this is one that has definitely been carrying varying opinions throughout the Chargers fandom. It might come to some surprise what my grade's going to be in round 4 for the Chargers. In round 4, at pick number 123, the Chargers select Isaiah Spiller, running back out of Texas A&M. Of course, we've got ourselves the spoiler alert there, grade of an A-. I got to tell you, dudes, I was super stoked when we heard Isaiah Spiller's name read up on the podium. And of course, I think the Raiders kind of had a beat on what we wanted to do. Of course, they traded up and drafted a running back of their own. This is something that I think really worked in the favor of the Chargers. Okay, Isaiah Spiller, I cannot think of very many other running backs that came at a better value that are also a perfect fit for what the Chargers are trying to do. Okay, and I said this a lot leading up into the draft that I feel the Chargers were super deadly serious about their second running back on this roster. If you guys recall, at the end of the season last year, the Chargers worked out pretty much every running back on this roster behind Austin Eckler to see who could take the reins of RB2. I felt that nobody really stepped into that role. Of course, Justin Jackson made his departure from the team this offseason as well. So the Chargers, I would say with a much higher pick than a lot of us expected, invested in the position of running back. And boy, howdy, did we get a good one here in the 4th round. You guys see in the second line there, extremely good value in round 4. He was heavily projected to be drafted in the second or third round throughout the entirety of these analysts in the NFL, man. There's a lot of people out there that considered Isaiah Spiller the #1 running back in the nation for a long time, and people were really hyping up the thought of him getting drafted, maybe even as the first running back on the board. Of course, that didn't happen, but it speaks to the potential carried by Isaiah Spiller. Now, of course, during the draft, I think here at round 4, we were looking maybe for some different positions, at least from my perspective and in the chat, right? But I did think that running back was on the table. Me personally, I felt like maybe you can grab a nice value in later rounds with guys like Tyler Algier. Of course, there were other names being thrown out there that were fan favorites of the Bolt fam. Still, to me, Isaiah Spiller in round 4 does carry a lot of value. Therefore, taking him in round 4 is heavily justified, at least by me, okay? Especially concerning a running back that should have gone a lot higher in rounds 2 and 3. Those picks in those rounds, guys, highly, highly valuable, okay? So the thought of getting a guy at that caliber at such a steal in round 4 is extremely exciting. Now, again, like I mentioned before, this is exactly the kind of running back that we needed running behind Austin Ekeler. The Chargers do have a featured back on this team, and I do think that this is something that sometimes gets overlooked, right? Austin Ekeler is RB1. Austin Ekeler is going to be making a majority of the big plays. The style of running back that he is, yes, it's more of receiving. Some people would say edging on the side of scat back. It doesn't matter. This is the guy that we're building around in terms of the running back position. He's the star on this team. But in terms of versatility and what this team needed behind him, we're kind of lacking the appropriate archetype. We needed a guy that was big, that was physical, that can gain those short yardage on the ground between the tackles, those tough earned yards. As good as Austin Ekeler is, he is a little bit smaller. He is super, super ripped, but picking up those yards up the middle just don't mesh well with the kind of running back he is. Therefore, during the offseason, Chargers fans were really, really hollering for us to get a big physical back, and that's exactly what we got in Isaiah Spiller. Huge, physical, great vision, a lot shiftier than you would expect for his speed. His one cut is absolutely disgusting. And a lot of the times you'll see him, juking out and stunning out people that he really shouldn't. I really do feel like Isaiah Spiller, not only being a great value in round 4, is going to add a lot of legitimate value during the season. And a lot of it comes down to the Chargers, team specifically. This team likes having options on 4th down. On 4th and medium, 4th and long, you can expect the Chargers to at least be considering going for it. And in those situations, yes, Austin Ekeler, maybe out of the flat, a safety valve like Gerald Everett, maybe you can find those guys. Those are probably the options there, but more often than not, the Chargers found themselves in 4th and short, and it felt like they really didn't give themselves the option of handing it off to their running backs, and when they did, it just did not feel those were the right kind of running backs to churn out those tough yards. Isaiah Spiller is exactly that guy, dude. He's not going to be the fastest guy in the world, getting to the second level, trying to take it all the way to the house. That might not be the player Isaiah Spiller is, but boy, is this guy good in terms of short yardage. He could be very hard to take down. His size carries a lot of upside in terms of, pounding in those touchdowns, with 2 yards to score. It just feels like Isaiah Spiller really brings that element and that dynamic that the Chargers have been looking for from the position that meshes very, very well. Of course, this is speaking super optimistically, but I do feel like we got the LT and the Lorenzo Neal, maybe not Lorenzo, maybe more Michael Turner, right? And it feels like that pairs very, very well. And speaking of pairing very well, my last point on here, this player will pair very, very well with our first round pick in Zion Johnson and the rest of this offensive line. The Chargers heavily investing in their short game and in their power game. Really love this pick in round 4. Great value, great fit, and honestly one that we should be super, super excited about in the upcoming kickoff of this season, okay? Next up, let's get into round 5. The Chargers having one pick in this round as well at pick number 160. They're going to select a Tito Agustin, man, defensive lineman out of UCLA, homegrown, big, monstrous player, huge run-stopping nose tackle with freakish strength. The biggest thing that I loved about a lot of the selections from the Chargers was certainly these just strong, physical, dominant trench players. And Tito is adding to that roster by quite a bit. He's super explosive for his size and the position he plays, because I'm going to say that right now. Very excited to see him going up against some quality talent. We've seen a lot of clips of Tito going head-to-head with Zion Johnson, our first round pick. It's been circulating around Twitter, and you know what? It's kind of weird. Those clips really did show strengths for both players, but it really did show the value you're getting in a guy like a Tito in the 5th round. Now, a big reason I was super excited about this pick was because of the commitment by the Chargers in improving the run, okay? I've said this a couple of times throughout my videos. The biggest reason, the most likely reason the Chargers missed the postseason in 2021 was due to our poor run defense. The Chargers definitely made strides in improving that through free agency. Khalil Mack, a lot better versus the run than you would expect. Of course, you got guys on the defensive line in Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. They're not done, man. They want to add more beef to that defensive line. And certainly Tito is one of the best guys that you're going to find in the 5th round that can do that. He is very explosive, eats up a ton of space in the middle of the line. Huge size, huge, I would say, potential in his power. There's a lot to like about Tito here in the 5th. Now, immediately, I do view Tito as a guy that could rotate in at nose tackle in his rookie season. And the reason I feel like this is a nice fit for the Chargers as well is going to be because of the versatility in our other signings. Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, these guys got a lot of reps at various positions on the defensive line. So you could easily, on those, obvious run situations, bring in a Tito at nose tackle who eats up a lot of space, has the power, has the strength, has the size to handle that position, and then you can still line up Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson beside him. That eats up a lot of space and gives up, a lot of opportunities for Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack to get free. So in terms of what I was looking for in defensive line depth, Tito hits a lot of boxes, checks a lot of boxes for me, and he is one that was on my radar for the Chargers to be picking up late. I think this is a great pick, a great fit, a huge character add to this team too. Very solid human being, and this is a characteristic that you will see throughout a lot of Chargers picks in various seasons. He does need refining. I'm not going to say that he's the perfect man to throw in there at nose tackle, every single down. Maybe needs to add a little bit more in his technique to contribute in his pass rushing abilities, but this is very coachable, and he does bring to the table a lot of things that coaches can work with, and honestly, an element that he can bring in terms of contributing in year one, maybe in a rotational role. So I like that a lot, man. Tito, welcome to the Chargers. Heck of a guy, man. Definitely go check out some clips of him reacting on YouTube. It's quite entertaining. Next up, let's get in here to round 6, of which the Chargers had 2 picks. I'm going to tell you right now, man, and of course, Tito got me a grade of a B. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, this pick is absolutely insane to me, and it's one that I don't know if anybody thought would be there. Okay, in round 6 at pick number 195, it's going to be Jamari Sawyer, guard out of Georgia. This was an insanely good value for the Chargers in round 6, okay? I remember seeing this guy's name, right? But I never remembered seeing him in round 6, sometimes not in round 5 either. Upon further investigation, we found that a lot of analysts, a lot of guys, even, online, YouTube, whatever, had this guy projected to go in the 2nd to 4th round. Maybe some people say he slips into the 5th. Never in their wildest dreams did we imagine he would be available in round 6. I do not know why this was. It might be in terms of, position value. Of course, tackle, maybe a little bit more valuable than guard, but at this point in round 6, it's definitely crazy to see a player of this caliber get selected by the Chargers in such a late round. And you know what, dudes? Jamari Sawyer, the reason we were so hyped on this pick and the reason why this pick is coming at such a value is because I do believe Sawyer is a year 1 starter. I feel like I truly believe he has a legitimate chance to start in his rookie season. And this adds so many options for the Chargers and how they want to roll out into the season with their offensive line, okay? Now, Sawyer as a player, extremely good pass protector, okay? He is going to add some legitimate competition for the position of left guard, which is currently being occupied by Matt Filer. Matt Filer is a big candidate to be moving to right tackle among Chargers fans and NFL fans in general. We feel that we have a nice right tackle on the roster, but of course you do not want to disturb the chemistry you have on the left side and your quarterback's blind side. So keeping him at left guard seems like the best option right now, and it's one that Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley did state in their presser after round 1. I think Sawyer may have mixed things up a little bit, man. Having Sawyer on this roster, a guy who can start year 1, who could certainly even compete for that spot, maybe opens up the possibility again to Matt Filer starting at right tackle. This may be the best composition of that offensive line going into next season. Now, I do think that the Chargers will still maybe, sign a veteran for the right tackle position, but having this option with Sawyer is very, very nice to have on this team. He's very versatile, playing at all interior offensive line positions as well as tackle. I think he was a left tackle in his last year in Georgia. Very, very nice in pass protection. Has some good upside, in run blocking in terms of starting at guard. This is very, very nice. And this is a trait that we found with a lot of players that the Chargers have been signing. Guys that are very versatile that can play all over the line. And again, it feels like a really nice forward-thinking, nice strategy by Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley in moving into this season. So Jamari Sawyer, dude, it feels like this was a home run pick, an insanely good value. Yes, he's a little bit smaller at 6'3", but he does have long arms. His best fit is at guard, but the Chargers were not afraid to start a man on the other side of the ball, at left tackle, that was considered maybe a little small for the position too, and he ended up having a Pro Bowl season in Rashawn Slater. So who knows? Maybe Sawyer could definitely, compete for right tackle snaps as well. He can play and has played the position too. It would be a bold move by the Chargers, but at the same time, man, it offers so much versatility in what you can do with that offensive line going forward. So this is an absolute slam dunk, A+ grade for me, especially here in the 6th round. You just do not see players of this caliber fall to the 6th round very often. So smashing success by the Chargers in that late round. Next up, getting into round 6, the Chargers at pick 214 are going to select Jasir Taylor, cornerback out of Wake Forest. Now, again, this is one of those dudes that really threw us off in the live chat. A lot of us, maybe Jasir was not on our radar, okay? And I do feel like among consensus rankings, a lot of us maybe considered this to be a bit of a reach, right? I think a lot of people considered Jasir maybe an undrafted free agent signing after the fact, right? But I do think the Chargers found something that they liked and they fell in love with the player, and I do think there's a lot to like about Jasir Taylor, dude. They want to revamp their cornerback depth, and as far as that, with Jasir Taylor and what he's adding to the position, very fast, very fluid, decently tall too. I think about 5'11". He logged 6 interceptions with Wake Forest. I like a lot of what I see with Jasir Taylor. Was it the best value? Probably not, but it's a fit in terms of what the Chargers want in revamping their cornerback depth, and that was a big priority for me going into the draft, right? He does offer immediate special teams value as well, maybe as a returner. We saw, some tape of him returning, kicks for touchdowns. We saw, maybe some good contributions there, given his speed and physicality, in special teams. So I do think he's going to be a year one contributor, as well as a guy that provides decent depth, okay? So maybe not a bad pick, but certainly not one that comes to the best value. I do think that's why we're going to give this one a grade of a C. There were some pretty nice names still left on the board, and I do feel like maybe the more exciting names would have gotten the Chargers a little more hype, but still not a bad selection here by the Chargers. Got to figure out that cornerback depth. Next up here at pick number 236, we got Leonard, another cornerback out of Ole Miss. The Chargers, kind of reminiscent of when they went back-to-back wide receivers a couple years ago, go back-to-back cornerback here in round 7, just following the round 6 selection in Taylor. Now here in round 7, the Chargers grabbed themselves a nice 6'1", fast 4.39 timed cornerback. Okay, another decent depth add for this team. And one thing a lot of people will point out about Leonard is he had definitely improved a lot very consistently in his last 2 seasons in Ole Miss. Maybe struggled a little bit in generating turnovers, but at the same time, that upside does exist. I do think previous to Ole Miss, he had 6 interceptions, which definitely shows a lot of upside in that department. And again, that consistent improvement and growth does spell this as a pure upside pick, which is definitely something that you're going to be looking for here in round 7. Now, again, we were looking at some pretty nice names still on the board, even at the position of cornerback, but the Chargers, again, saw something that they like, and it's something that I really do appreciate what Brandon Staley is trying to do. He's generating, and he's brewing up the perfect storm, right? Getting those tall, fast DBs out there on the field to help generate turnovers with turnover upside, nice ball hawking upside, right? And this is something that you can definitely see in Dean Leonard's tape. Chargers adding tall, fast DBs is not a bad idea. Perhaps considered a reach by some people, but not a bad pick. So likely he's going to be competing for a backup spot on this roster or contributing in special teams. So we're going to give this one a grade of a C+. Now, the Chargers, if you guys do remember, I know a lot of people were coming in saying, what did we trade for? What did we trade for? The Chargers did indeed trade 2 of their 7th round picks to the Bears in order to acquire a 6th round pick last season. And you know what? It's the same 6th round pick that we traded away to get Khalil Mack. So you can almost think about it in a way that the Chargers traded a 2nd this season and 2 7ths to get Khalil freaking Mack. What a big smashing value right there, man. But we did give up 2 picks this season, so we're going to skip on over to pick number 260, which was the Chargers Chargers' last pick in this NFL draft. And I got to tell you guys, dude, I really love this pick. I feel like there's a lot of people confused and a lot of people like, what are we doing? We just drafted a fullback. We got ourselves a nice player, man. I'm going to explain why. The Chargers pick 260 select Xander Horvath, fullback out of Purdue. I loved this pick, dude. I just, again, it feels like this team wants to get physical, right? Like we say up there on the top of the notes, get physical, Chargers. The Chargers have been such a good passing, team. The Chargers have been really good, on the ground, maybe, in the outside zone runnings, but it feels like the Chargers have just been beefing up this team to get those short yardage, to help themselves out on fourth down. Zion Johnson is a testament to that. Sawyer is a testament to that. Certainly Isaiah Spiller is a testament to that. And now the Chargers go out there and get a thumper in a fullback, a position that we just don't see utilized very much. Is certainly not on the Chargers here in this season. Now, I've seen some people kind of confused saying the Chargers don't use a fullback. Why did we get a fullback? We have a fullback in Gabe Neighbors, BFF, with Justin Herbert. Why was this selection even a thing here in the 7th round? It's because I think, things change. Teams change. Philosophies change. And again, if anything, if those previous picks speak for anything, is that the Chargers want to get more physical on the ground. And these additions are certainly going to help with that. Xander Horvath, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how he's going to look as a run blocker, right? As a pure fullback on this team, helping get, Austin Eckler some space in front of him. He does have the upside and the size and honestly the vision to do just that. But the thought of having another guy on this roster at 6'2", 230 pounds with really good speed is something to get excited about. You could even hand the ball off to this dude on short yardage situations. Now you got Spiller and Horvath to consider in those situations. Chargers adding more weapons, for short yardage situations, it gets me very excited. And then after the fact, a lot of Chargers fans tagged me in these RES scores on Twitter. And you know what? He scored a 9.83. And that's not too far away from guys like Breece Hall, dudes. In the 7th round, that feels like a slam dunk to me, right? It's not just the RAS score that's getting me excited about the pick. It's also what the Chargers are basically making a statement in what they want to do. Let's get a little bit more ground and pound on this team, and that's something to get super excited about. Because if you can really balance out that run game, the passing game is going to become that much more lethal. Play actions are going to become that much more lethal. Scoring, in short yardage situations is going to become that much more lethal. This team is very well rounded, and adding some power to that ground game is certainly not a bad idea. And when you pair that, dude, Spiller, Horvath, Zion, this is all, again, adding up to a very deadly upgrade to doing just that. So my grade for Xander Horvath is going to be an A. I've seen a lot of people give it a D or an F. I just immediately, upon reading the name on the TV, I was hollering and shouting, this guy is huge, this guy is physical, this guy is freakishly athletic, his RAS score is off the charts, dude. I love this guy so much. Round 7 for me is going to be an A. So when all is said and done, guys, what is my overall grade for the Chargers in 2022 in the NFL draft? It is going to be an A-. I think technically if you add up the scores, it should be more of a B+, but some of these picks carry a lot of weight for me, okay? We got some insane value at various picks in the draft. Isaiah Spiller, to me, was a huge home run value. Sawyer was a huge home run value. And certainly a lot of people could say Zion Johnson was a home run value. Certainly we didn't get value, to the maximum degree in later picks in the draft. But I do think that these particular players are going to add a lot to this team this season. And more particular on the offensive line. It's absolutely mind-boggling to see what they've done and the value they got at offensive line. The Chargers additionally addressed a huge amount of needs this season. A lot of the times, best player available sometimes gets people worried that we're going to go into the season, with a bad player at a specific position. A lot of the times for the Chargers, and maybe it's also philosophy is best player available at a position of need. Of course, that's definitely a thing. But in recent seasons, it feels like the Chargers, their best player available at a position of need has been a best player available, right? And what that just means is that Zion Johnson, in a lot of people's boards, would have been the best, most talented, valuable player on the board. It just so happens he's playing a position where the Chargers have a big need, and that's a slam dunk. And we saw that all over this draft. This offensive line may just be the best one I have ever seen as a fan. Sure, right tackle's a little bit concerning, but it's absolutely so impressive to see what they've done in just a few short seasons. The plan of attack was clear, and I feel like it was well executed. Quality depth has been added, even in late rounds. I'm feeling very optimistic about the Chargers' chances to make the postseason at this point, and maybe even a Super Bowl. So quickly wrap this up, dudes. We're going to actually have a very nice preview for you guys here at the end of the video, but really quickly to kind of address this, we are going to do videos, individually covering these specific topics. The team needs still left on the Chargers after the draft kind of dwindled down here to right tackle, linebacker, edge 3, and wide receiver, more specifically a speed wide receiver, okay? Who's playing right tackle? Well, like mentioned before, we do have a lot of options currently on the roster that could do that. Linebacker could still be looked at as a big need, but is it really in a DB-heavy system? Edge 3 and 4 is still up in the air. Jamal Davis was added a couple of weeks ago. I think that went flying under the radar, even for me too, and he could definitely be the guy the Chargers are looking at for edge 3 or 4. We could use more speed at wide receiver. I think a lot of us were hoping to see a wide receiver in this draft because of how unique in the speed was for the wide receiver in this class, but that's okay. The Chargers wide receiver room is one of the fewer things that we need to be worrying about at this point. Very nice players. And of course, depth feels very good. Maybe we could add a little bit more. I'm sure some of those undrafted free agents are going to contribute in that way. So finally, to wrap up this video, guys, I know it's a longer one, but man, has this been so much fun. I wanted to give this draft the time it deserves on YouTube. Finally, to sort everything out here, guys, here is your preview of the 2022 Chargers as it stands before any additional, free agent addings and camp battles and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of what we're thinking the team looks like. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera right here so you can get a full view of the field for the Chargers. This offensive line looks disgusting, dudes. Of course, Matt Filer, there have been whispers that maybe right tackle is the move for him, but at this time, I'm going to put it on the graphic that he's our left guard. This offensive line looks insane. Slater, Filer, Lindsley, Zion from left to right. Of course, right tackle still, kind of up in the air, but again, the options are insane. Matt Filer, I think, in my opinion, if I were to redo this and say the best, composition of offensive line we can get right now, Filer would be on the right tackle spot. But you could even throw in, Jamari Sawyer on that position as well. He's played that position. And I think the Chargers would have, confidence that he could handle it. Very nice offensive line, one of the best I've ever seen. You got Justin Herbert at quarterback. At wide receiver, you got Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton, and DeAndre Carter. And DeAndre Carter offers a little bit more in terms of receiving than I think people realize, me included. He does offer a little bit more at the position of receiver, not just as a returner. So we do have some speed on this team. Wide receivers definitely looking just as good as they did last season. Justin Herbert, or I should say Austin Eckler at running back, now backed up by Isaiah Spiller, who you'll see there to his right. Very, very nice RB2 power back added to this roster. 6 foot, 220 pounds. The short yards, man, the short yards. And that is even further backed up by Xander Horvath there to the left at fullback. Those are your rookies on offense. Now, taking a look at defense, the depth on this defense, dude, absolutely blows my mind all of a sudden, okay? Cornerback, Mike Davis, J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., of course, 3 very solid starters at corner, now backed up by Jasir Taylor and Dean Leonard. Now, of course, we don't know what those backups are going to look like, but I think maybe this could be an upgrade over guys like Tavon Campbell and Keemon Hall. I think the upside and the speed and the size of these dudes might better fit what the Chargers want as backups. At safety, you've got Nasir Adderley, Derwin James, backed up by J.T. Woods, the new rookie, Mark Webb, and Alohi Gilman. J.T. Woods, I think, is going to have a role on this team year 1, dudes. You see Derwin James in the box, you're probably going to see, Nasir Adderley and J.T. Woods up top. And that's one thing I think the Chargers definitely bolstered there. At linebacker, of course, we still have Drew Tranquil, Kenneth Murray, Nick Neiman, Troy Reeder, and a couple other guys. At this point, again, I think it's very clear what the Chargers want to do. So maybe we don't have to worry too much about that position. I do think Kenneth Murray is due for a comeback season this year. A lot of things behind the scenes that could have hindered his play in 2021, okay? Now, when it comes to edge, Chargers still looking just as good as ever. Of course, we wanted edge in the draft, but really, when you're looking at the starters, it's not as big of an issue as we're all thinking. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, that's insane. When it came to edge depth, we're looking for guys to rotate in when these guys need a breather, right? Jamal Davis, Chris Rumph, these guys should be able to handle the duties of that. And I do think we have heard that maybe the Chargers do add a little bit more veteran edge help after the draft as well, okay? And then that defensive line. I think one of the most improved things on this team the entire year. That's saying something, too, when you got J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack, but you got Sebastian Joseph Day. You got Austin Johnson. You got Jared Tiller. You got brand new rookie Tito Agustin, right? Agbanya, I think is how you say it. Very, very nice looking defensive line. And the thing I was saying before, dudes, maybe, just maybe, we could rotate Jerry Tillery a little bit more often, get him fewer snaps. I know we want to see Jerry Tillery improve, but at this point, if it's a liability like last season, there are looks on defense where you can fit a Tito, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Austin Johnson. Of course, a Tito in the middle, and then Day and Austin Johnson beside him. And you can rotate. If you need a better pass rusher, you can get Jerry Tillery out on the field. I still think he has something to offer in those terms. But that defensive line looks absolutely stellar. So, guys, this Chargers team has taken such a massive leap forward. This Chargers team, in my opinion, really nailed the draft this season. That offensive line, dude, it's a testament. It's a testament to what this team is committed to and what this team is looking to do and putting the past behind us. We ignored offensive line for so long. Finally, after decades, the Chargers fans have the offensive line that we deserve. And I think Justin Herbert greatly appreciates that. So, guys, in the comment section below, let me know what you guys think of this Chargers 2022 draft class and the grade that you would give, whether it's overall for individual players. And let me know what your favorite pick was of the Chargers in the 2022 NFL draft as well. This team is looking real good, dudes. Get ready, though. We're not done yet. We got videos that need to be pumped out. We got other free agents that we need to take a look at. Undrafted free agents. The Chargers added a slew of them. We're pretty good at drafting picking up undrafted guys. Who's going to be the diamond in the rough this season, right? And then, of course, we've got hype videos. A lot of stuff coming down the pipelines here very soon. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty, man. The Chargers just absolutely killed it. Physical, baby. Let's get physical.